Jackie, on behalf of all of us.
I most certainly will. Before I get started, I just wanted to also quickly just say to Janisa, thank you so much. It has been just a marvelous romp with the SPC, and truly have appreciated your service for the students and the families, here at Paul. So, Miss Beatty, wow. Um, I can't believe that you're not going to be on the board anymore. I still think that we need to process that and think about you doing a term in a different capacity. Miss Beatty is just exemplifies what excellence in parenthood, motherhood, and board membership looks like. Separate and apart from how valuable she's been as a board member, she has just been a phenomenal mother to her children that she trusted, us to educate here at Paul. When they talk about the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree, that's the absolute truth. And to know how amazing Miss Jackie Beatty is as a human being and as a hard working mother, y'all, because she's not just here with her kids at Paul and being on the board at Paul. She holds a crucial position at Friendship. But you know how amazing and how excellent she is because her children are absolutely fabulous and they are stellar. I deeply appreciate Miss Beatty, you never taking advantage of the fact that you sat on this board as a parent trustee. I appreciate the fact that your engagements with all staff was through the lens of a parent and an advocate, not just for your children, but for all children and for all families here at Paul. I appreciate your honesty, your integrity, your always presumption of positive intent. You have carried that mantle wonderfully, and we are going to miss you and all of your babies deeply. We are going to miss you deeply. So you will always be a friend of Paul. I will always call you if I need to. You don't have to tell me I got you. Your phone number's locked in. I'm gonna call you. And we're gonna miss you so much. And just thank you for everything that you brought. And really thank you for trusting us with your children. You could have chosen to take them anywhere, but you chose us and you kept choosing us. And that means something. So thank you, Miss Beatty.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Wright, and thank you. Thank you, Jackie. I didn't know all that part about what an amazing mother she was until I went to graduation, and her daughter just kept standing up and standing up every time they called another award. There she was popping up again, and then she gave this amazing.
That's every baby child.
And then she gave an amazing speech as valedictorian, stood up there and blew us all away at it with that speech. So I was like, there was a whole side of Jackie that she has just kept quiet about that the school staff knew, but we didn't know. So, well, listen, as I said to the graduates, and as I will, as Dr. Wright has just said, you're always a friend of Paul. This is always going to be your Paul family. So do keep in touch, both of you. Let us know how things are going. We, we want to be in touch because it's been an amazing ride together. We've done some terrific things, and thank you. Thank you is so inadequate, but thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. It has really been my honor and pleasure to sit aside the new ones, the past ones, board members. Parents should always have a voice, and I thank you all for allowing me to voice that opinion. I have chosen Paul since my son was in the 6th grade, and now the baby girl graduated. So you all have some amazing teachers. You have amazing staff. Whenever I have the opportunity to speak about Paul, I do it. And some of the people at Friendship where I work, they thought that I was working at Paul part-time because it was always just Paul. But I want to say to you, Tracy, thank you very much for allowing my children to be a part of your Tier 1 status, which you made that promise a few years ago. And I want to thank you for bringing that to fruition. So I'm going to miss you guys. I am going to do more traveling now back and forth to North Carolina to visit the children. But other than that, if you all need me, I'm just a phone call away. I'm an email away. Thank you so much for giving me this wonderful, wonderful, awesome opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to let us have a chance to say goodbye to you. And you all heard that, phone call or email away. Everybody heard that. Thank you. Yes. Thank you both.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, very good. So let us open. We are now streaming live on YouTube. So now the meeting is officially called to order. And so I hope you have your board book in front of you, board members. And if you would, with me, recite our mission so we can remember why we are here, as I say every meeting. All right, here we go. The mission of Paul is to educate our students and to develop in them the capacity to be responsible citizens, independent thinkers, and leaders. And that is why we are here tonight. We're going to do it. So I need a motion to approve the May meeting minutes, please.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
I second.
Somebody's got to come off mute. There we go,
I
Christina.
second.
Thank you. All right. And in keeping with the Open Meetings Act, we will call the roll. So I'm an aye. And Jeff?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Gina?
Aye.
Pamela?
Aye.
Kemba?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Roxana?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Thank you. So we have a short meeting tonight. I've asked Tracy, there's so much going on. There's a list of about 7 things to update us on. And I've asked her to somehow figure out a way to do that very quickly so that we can keep our annual meeting here very short and move to our retreat. We hope within about half an hour. So we don't want to shortchange anything, but there's your challenge, Dr. Wright. Over to you.
All right, I am going to be brief. Really quickly, Jennifer is here with us for our board meeting. Yay. Hi, Jennifer. We did the vote. We're just checking Manya's notes. We
haven't done the vote yet. She's actually down, so I just welcomed her as a guest at the beginning. And perfect. Christina will introduce her later, and we will have the vote. So we'll have to figure out how we want to. We may have to ask Jennifer to step out of the room for a moment while we vote. But it's an Open Meetings Act, so we're okay. She can be in here for this.
Awesome. I am so happy just that it is the Monday after school is over. And we're going to give a very, very brief high level kind of close out report for everyone because you all, we made it. Can we just get like one quick celebratory something? You can snap, you can raise the roof, you can do whatever you want to do. Centipede, snake, I don't know. But we made it. This time last year, we were straddling the fence with the rest of the city and the rest of the world, holding on for dear life, for health reasons, because of the COVID pandemic and wondering, what school year 2021 was going to look like. And I just have to take a moment to take my hat off to the team, both the executive team and our school leadership teams and our teacher teams at Paul Public Charter Schools, and then our parents and our families and our children, because we didn't just like muddle through the school year. Like, y'all, we worked. The kids worked. We did school. We did school every single day. in a virtual environment, something that we knew little to nothing about. And as Will shared, we had a meeting with the new executive director of the DC Public Charter School Board, Dr. Michelle Walker Davis. And, we did all this and became a one-to-one school in one day. In one day. It was Tuesday one day, and then it was Wednesday and Thursday. We were a one-to-one school, and we were teaching fully virtually, and we never stopped. And we saw growth in movement with our children, and some of them in very remarkable ways. And so it has been a humdinger of a year, and we are so proud of the work that we did. We have a lot more work to do. There's a lot more growing that our children need to do. There is some filling in of some gaps, some that existed before the pandemic and some that were exacerbated by the pandemic that we have to address. And God knows that there's a lot of work around trauma and social emotional learning that awaits us when we get back. And so to kind of wrap up the year, I'm going to ask Ms. Span, and then I'm going to ask Will to very quickly just share with you all 2 or 3 highlights from our year, and then one thing that they're super excited about and looking forward to for the upcoming school year.
All righty. Good evening, everyone. Very briefly means to be succinct, so I shall do just that. When we went into the pandemic, March 2020, into the virtual schooling model, the whole world shifted, and the narrative for most people was, my life has changed. I have more free time. What hobbies am I going to do? Let me take up hiking and fishing. And I was this outlier narrative of, my work life really hasn't changed that much. Because one thing that really is just a profound reflection for me for the past school year is how much we were able to transfer the experience in a very powerful way that our scholars had at Paul in the building to the virtual setting. And a part of that was our strong systems. We were in a space where we could have done 2 things. We could have said, hey, this is a virtual schooling. We have all these systems and the ways we observe and et cetera, but how can you do that in the virtual setting? And so we could have, as Dr. Wright alluded to, just kind of coasted and just made sure things optically looked aesthetically pleasing to the public eye. We all know what that can mean. We did not. The fact that we had a team, and not just executive team, but from our school leadership teams, from our grade level teams, who thought about every system and process that we have and how can we transfer that to the virtual setting in an authentic way so we can continue to do school in a way that's meaningful and real and not do school from a surface standpoint to get through. For me, that was a powerful something. And it was heavily driven by not only the resilience of our staff, and all of us have countless stories of staff members who themselves or family members were directly impacted. And in the midst of that, through that, they navigated still caring for their job, for the service of our scholars, that being the only driver, not a paycheck, not a title, not a degree, not anything, but I know I have to do this, even though I'm going through this, because these students are depending upon us. That piece is really a powerful, I get a sense of strength. I get a sense of energy when I think about the choices that our staff made each day in service of our Paul Scholars. And then the last 2 things I just like to speak about before I talk about what I'm excited about is the innovation of our staff. It was so just exciting to see individual staff members come out the woodwork with talents and skills that we never even knew they had. And part of me was like, why were you sitting on this since I've been here in fall 2017? We had assistant principals doing communications and media work that was worthy of professionals in marketing. Where did that come from? We had teachers just coming up with really innovative ways to do their PowerPoints, things that, my PowerPoint game is weak now compared to where teachers took theirs this past year. So just the innovation that came about from this school year. And then I'll have one last reflection. The graduation was an affirming moment for me. It's always an affirming moment, but it was an affirming moment. It was an empowering moment. It was yes, this is the motivation we need to go full blazing guns ahead in the next school year. I'm excited to see the children. Number one, I saw some of them for the first time during one of the Saturday enrollments when we started the enrollment season. And I was speechless. And I'm rarely speechless, but I was speechless because these were short little 14-year-olds who were running the halls as ninth graders trying to, get to understand, get to class. And here they were, beautiful young adults looking like they can step into an interview room for a college. So I'm excited to see the students. I'm excited to push myself, our organization, our executive team, and our scholars to new heights, to pull out more of the power that's in us. Because there's power in us that we had to pull out by circumstance last year. We're not in that circumstance anymore, but that power still resides in us. And there's so much more we can do. So I'm excited to be a part of pushing myself and us to that next level, so that the Lexus Beatties, the Amandas who we heard aren't outliers, but every single child at Paul is able to articulate, discern, reflect, command an audience, and have a sense of presence and self like those young ladies represented. So that's what I'm excited about. Yep. Sorry, right?
That's okay. Will, your brief points?
So similarly this year was just such a culmination, or the culmination of this impressive and bizarre year was just so powerful at graduation. I really resonate. Charlotte's comments about just the power that existed in graduation was so wonderful for me. I think one of the things that stood out to me in this last year was just the creative work that we did. I mean, and so much of that is going to continue on into our future. And so I can't reemphasize that enough. I mean, y'all know in this group, more so sometimes than teachers do, the priority that my work puts on safety. And so having that, like us live and breathe that experience and really highlighting that work in our life was a really important part of this year for me. And so it's just something that just like really continued on in our experience that I think will just kind of the prioritization of that into the new year will be something that we carry on with us. And so, I think that one of the things that I'm also looking forward to is, not to be stereotypical, but this technology work of like access to the various devices and our ability to communicate across between our schools and our staff was just so powerful and impressive and really exciting. And in so many ways, our kids were the ones that were leading that. Like we were trying to figure it out, and we did a lot to serve them well, but it was so exciting to see our kids lead us. And so I think that those are some things that we'll certainly be taking into the new year. And I could go on, but those are some of the highlights that, I back to the, my last thing about the safety stuff, like the experience of having the building to ourselves to kind of prepare for things that are kind of lingering, looming clouds in my world was I don't want to have that experience again, but I'm so impressed and proud of my team and others that we were able to tackle some of that stuff that's out of our way now. And so we can really move forward in this like exciting, creative, rigorous work because we're not worried about the safety of our building and the sustainability of those systems. So lots to be grateful for despite this trying year, and looking forward to the new one.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'll say two last pieces. We watched our students become remarkable advocates and organizers of and for themselves. It really hurt my soul to hear people talk about on the news all the time about how badly this period of time was just going to reveal the shortcomings of students who were identified as disadvantaged, right? Like our students are excellent advocates and managers of themselves. And yes, they did have a lot that was going on in their homes, but it was our responsibility, not just Paul's, but every single educational agency. It was our responsibility to make sure that we got into the hands of our students the materials and supplies that they needed so that they could connect to our educational program, on a daily basis. And when we held up our end of the bargain, our children held and our families held up their end of the bargain. And so it was remarkable to see our students sending information in emails like, you need to get the right Zoom address in the calendar invite. Things like sending the tech team information, like there's something going on with my hotspot. Like they were really managing and owning their part of the responsibility so that they could be present in school. And so you talk about bridging that technological divide and bridging it quickly. It was great to see that happen. And then the final thing I will say is that Will has kept us entertained, you all, for the last 16 months with his hair. We have watched this man from beards, mustaches, long hair, short hair, ponytails. It has been bangs, no bangs. It's been remarkable. And I wish that I would have taken pictures at least every other week so you all could see the many transformations that Will Henderson's hair, both on his face and on his head, have undergone over the course of the last couple of months. It's
I'm happy to continue to bless you guys with my creativity. So thank you for that encouragement, Dr. Wright, and I'll take that challenge moving forward.
Tracy, I just think someone needs to remark about the graduation because it was remarkable. The speeches that were given at that graduation were mind-blowing.
Yeah.
The two students, Jackie's daughter, the salutatorian, unbelievable speeches. And I don't know if you have copies of them.
We do.
But it would be great. I'd love to have a copy of all three of them if you have them.
Yeah.
But they were so inspiring, each one of them. It was really
the YouTube link's still live. I'll drop it in the chat because it's really yeah.
It was the best graduation ever. The venue, the weather, we were just so blessed. It's like the good Lord in heaven smiled down on us. Everything was remarkable. It was awesome.
Yeah, really
so thanks for commenting on that. And thanks for the board members who were able to attend. It was amazing.
It was great.
Okay. All right, Aaron, back to you.
All right, thank you.
We have been live this whole time. I'm sure you all can see. We're good.
Yes. Yep. Oh, that's great. And I'm going to toss it straight over to Will for a quick update on finance.
Sorry, I'll drop the link for graduation in a couple minutes. So yeah, very brief update on finance committee. We are wrapping up the year with the same story, just in an excellent cash position as we move into the new year. Last month, you guys passed our FY21 budget, and so we'll be looking forward to kind of planning in the new year, or FY22. Thank you, Aaron. So I think the biggest update is around enrollment, and the enrollment last week, we finally caught up to our enrollment targets from 2 years ago, which are beyond what our current budgeted enrollment is. And so we're really pleased with the work the enrollment team is doing. The story continues to be the same, that our sixth grade is a little bit below our target, but our ninth grade is well ahead of target. So we feel confident that we will meet our budgeted enrollment standards as they live in the FY22 budget. We're also working through scenarios for what it will be like if we exceed enrollment, which of course we do anyway, and have exceeded enrollment a bit each year, with the exception of last year during COVID over the last few years. So because sixth grade is a little bit of a moving target still at this moment, we're not at a place where we are notifying you guys that we are seeking to change or modify our FY22 budget. While we do think that's a very strong possibility, we've done the scenarios work as to think that plausibility through. With the sixth grade enrollment as it stands now, we want to just kind of continue to be on our course and what our personality is at Paul to make wise and conservative moves as we go forward.
Very good, thank you. And just very quickly, any questions for either Tracy or Will on this EO report or on the finance report? Okay, very good. Thank you both. So we now have, we're gonna move it over to Christina, who's going to introduce Jennifer. And then Jennifer, I know you actually have to leave, I think, anyway. So that'll probably be a good moment for you to transition out and then out of the room. And after we introduce you, though, stay here while while Christina introduces you, and then we'll take the vote, and then Christina can email you. Okay?
Yes, thank
Okay, Christina, please.
All right, so Jennifer Uberia. And Jennifer, is that how you actually say your last name while I have you here?
No, it's
Okay.
Ubiera, but you could pronounce it Ubiera. That seems to be, for folks who don't roll their R's, I'm told that's easier to say it that way. So that's fine.
So one more time for the rest of us who want to try to do it right.
Ubiera.
Ubiera.
Uberia.
Oh, okay. So maybe you don't need that.
Jennifer Uberia is coming to us from Georgetown University's Juvenile Justice Initiative, where she is an organizing and advocacy associate. She is graduated, correct, with your LLM. Yay, she's a 2021 graduate with her LLM in advocacy. She has a law degree from Barry University School of Law. She also has her undergraduate degree from the University of South Florida. At Georgetown University, she does direct representation of court-involved youth in DC's delinquency system. She manages and leads initiatives, community coalitions focused on ending the school to prison pipeline in the District of Columbia and efforts to improve the quality of life for youth involved in the delinquency system through advocacy. Jennifer is passionate about our young people in DC, which is super important. She has a lot of experience in the juvenile justice system, so she can inform some of our work in our disciplinary systems and some of our work with the school to prison pipeline and et cetera. But she just has a passion that cannot be replicated, and I'm super excited to introduce her to the board. And at this time, I am moving that we accept Jennifer Uberia. I did it wrong again. Say it one more time. I'm gonna get it right.
Ubiera.
To the board. So before we do our roll call, if you could step out of the virtual room, even though I know you'll be back in August. Also, Jennifer cannot officially start until August. We had this conversation previously. So thank you, Jennifer, for popping in and seeing us. And then we're gonna go ahead and take the roll.
Thank
Thank
you.
everyone for having me. Have a great meeting.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jennifer.
All right, so I moved. Does anybody second my motion to have her as a board of trustees member for Paul Public
Second.
Charter School?
Pamela.
Awesome. Aaron, I'll pass it to you to do the roll call.
Okay, excellent. I vote aye. Jeff.
Aye.
Ryan. Oh, Ryan. Wait, I'll come back to you. Pamela.
Aye.
Kimba.
Aye.
Roxana.
Aye.
Dan.
Yep.
And Kathy.
Aye.
Okay, Ryan, back to you.
Aye.
Okay, very good. All right, and so Jennifer is our newest member. Wonderful. And Christina, I'm sure you'll welcome her, and we will be able to introduce ourselves to her when she comes back in August. So that's terrific.
Ryan, why did you have to go last? Are y'all married or something?
He put a big bite in his mouth. Just
Oh.
getting calls on him.
I had a handful of chips I was trying to hide, but
Oh, that was cute. Okay, so now I would ask if you have in the Google Drive your board roster. I have done a lot of studying of the bylaws over the and I'm trying to pull it up too, over the past several weeks, as to make sure that we're doing this right. And what we are required to do is to vote on the board election slate for the executive committee, and then to codify is the word used, the committees for the membership for the rest of the committees. Okay, so let me make sure that I've got that open in front of me. I'll move it over to the other screen. Okay. So you've got, the bylaws say that the chair and the vice chair are elected for 2-year terms, and you elected me and Kemba last year. So you're stuck with us for another year. So that part we can skip over. Then you've got the board, the corporate officers. And sorry, I'm going back and forth here. Sorry, that's actually at the top, the officers of the corporation. And the bylaws indicate that unless the board has a good reason to do something else, then the secretary is the governance committee chair. Okay, so when you, so that's sort of going down from the top. And that's why Christina is there, because Christina has agreed to serve as the governance committee chair. So the one we have to actually vote on is the executive committee. And so you see there, it has been our practice that we put the chair of the governance committee, the chair of the finance committee, and the chair of the school performance committee on the executive committee. So you can see there that reveals to you the new chairs to replace Janisa, who's outgoing, and Jeff has agreed to accept that appointment. And as you know, Dan had expressed an interest in transitioning off, but agreed to allow us some time to orient Ryan as the new chair. And Ryan has accepted that he will be a co-chair with Dan throughout the course of the summer so that he has a chance to get oriented to the role. As you know, Christina and Gina did that this year with the governance committee. And Gina, who had to drop, she only had 30 minutes today. She's got a family thing going on, but she had the intent there was for Christina to do it with Gina for this year, and then for Gina to drop off because her term is actually up in November. So that's where you see that slate. So what I need is a motion to accept the slate of the executive committee, and we'll move and get a second, and then I'll open it for discussion. So do I have a motion to accept the executive slate as presented?
I move to accept the slate.
Thank you. Kimba, can I take that as a second? Thank you. Okay, any discussion? Okay, then we will go ahead and vote. Jeff?
Yes, aye.
Ryan? Don't need anything, Ryan. I'm calling on you. Is that an aye? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Christina?
Yes.
Pamela?
Aye.
Kimba?
Aye.
Roxana?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Now, the bylaws don't actually say what codify means, but I would ask that you please take a moment to look down. And we don't apparently have to vote on this part, but if you would look, please, at your committee assignments. I think I've checked with everybody. And the chairs and the committee membership should look like what you have agreed to. So if we can, yes, Dan.
I think you're on the finance committee unless you're taking yourself off.
Oh, you're right. No, that's a mistake. Yeah, thank you. My mistake for not catching that. Yep, thank you. I still am on the finance committee, so we can make that amendment if you would. Vanya, did you catch that? Okay, anything else? Anything else? Anybody spot any other corrections that are needed? Okay, very good. Then I think that counts as codified. I'm going to say it does. Not sure what the verb to codify, what it looks like in action on a Zoom meeting. Okay, and so then we've got one more piece of business, which is under new business. Will has something to share with us about our internet use policy.
Hey, everybody. So did that get concluded, Ms. Bundy, in the board packet? Great. So our internet use policy is a public document that is in our family handbook and is on our website. It has been there for years. Of course, we tweak it a bit every year. It's important, though, as an agenda line that it's noted here and available for discussion and an opportunity for discussion in a public meeting to help us maintain compliance with the Child Internet Protection Act. And so we just wanted to open up the table for discussion here for any board members or guests that wanted to ask any questions about the internet use policy. This is our policy that we have in place to that protects us and our children and instructs us of how we utilize the internet services in our building, but also in the COVID year, as we've learned, it extends to any educational experiences that we have that entail the internet usage, even if it's not in our building. So we're going to open up the table for conversation or questions if you have those.
Yeah, well, can you just talk about how you treat the fact that now that almost every student has a device owned by the school, when they are I assume they're using those devices obviously for their work, but then presumably they're also using it to watch random things on YouTube or TikTok and probably some more nefarious things that wouldn't be good if they were doing it in the classroom or on the school network, but they're doing it on their home network. How does this policy apply to that, given that they're using a school physical device?
Right. So actually, Dan, during COVID, we implemented a system that if it's on our device that we own, or on a browser that is with their Gmail address, we have the same oversight as if it were in our building. So prior to COVID, you had to be on Paul Public Charter Schools network for us to monitor your activity. Now, if we have a monitoring system that pumps everything that happens on a device that we own through that same oversight software. And then, of course, kids can also, and staff, I suppose, can also, they don't have to use Paul's device. We provide one to everyone, but we don't require they use Paul's device. We do require them to use Paul issued email address or Gmail account. And so if you have your own personal iPad or cell phone and you to get access to your classroom documents or anything like that, and you sign in through your Paul Charter email account, we all of that gets monitored and pumped through the same system.
So we don't let them use that device for when they're at home to log on to Facebook or
there's certain things that they can't log on to, like Facebook is an example of them, but technically because they can get on YouTube or Netflix, right? And so they could watch, something on Netflix because we do that because we want them to be able to. A lot of kids use clips from Netflix and things like that to, do a class presentation. So they have access to that sort of thing. We can just monitor what they're doing, and there are certain things that they can and cannot log on to, like on your own personal device, personal account. You could, watch an R-rated movie on Netflix, right? But a kid can only do something that's lower level. But we do allow them to do at 9 p.m. watch a movie on a Paul device if they so choose.
But so you can severely restrict with a Chromebook a student's sibling couldn't use the device and do something because it's all locked. Okay,
that's exactly right.
Okay, thanks.
Right. Yeah, please go ahead.
I assume this a policy applies to students and staff when they're in the building, and then also when they're using Paul devices. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Does it apply to like visitors, like individuals who are visiting the school? I guess part of the question that came to mind when I was reviewing the policy is, who does this apply to? Right. And that question is now, for me, broadened because of the question that Dan just raised, which is, okay, how is this policy affected by the fact that many of the students are using their school provided devices at home?
Right. So a visitor to Paul inside Paul's building on Paul's Wi-Fi we would monitor their use, because, you know, if they are using our Wi-Fi, if you are on your personal cell phone with your LTE, you know, or 5G, we don't monitor that. So if you're a visitor in the building through our Wi-Fi, we would monitor your internet usage. If you are at home on our device or on a Chrome account, through an email address that we have given you, so that could be a child, it could be a staff member, it could also be a contractor we have people that are not our employees that we contract, but they have an email account through us, that your activity is monitored even in your home through Gmail. So if you're on your personal device looking at YouTube, which is owned by Google, then we would monitor that. If you're on your personal device and you're on Hulu or, you know, whatever else is out there on a Safari account, we wouldn't monitor that. If you are on a Paul issued device like a Chromebook, you have to log in to your Chromebook through our using our credentials. You couldn't put in a Chromebook your, you know, personal Gmail address, and so we would monitor that as well.
Thanks. And last question, when was this policy last updated?
So it was last updated last year and will be up for review for another update in August when we send out the new family handbook. Okay,
one follow-up question. So individuals, do they automatically opt, like if they're a student or a staff member, I assume they automatically are required to comply via their, you know, the fact that it's part of the employee handbook?
That's exactly right. This is some version of this. This is in the employee handbook and in the family handbook, which are both public on our website, and both staff, excuse me, both staff and students are told upon their beginning their relationship with Paul that they have to maintain compliance with the employee handbook and the family handbook.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Will. And if there are other questions, of course, direct them to Will. I know you didn't appreciate that, Roxana and Dan, that you all had a chance to review it. And if there was anybody else who didn't have a chance, I mean, I know it came kind of late today, but that's doesn't mean you don't have an opportunity to ask questions. You can direct those questions to Will, I assume, correct, Will?
Absolutely. And again, when we upload this is something that we needed to probably do sooner than today, but this is where it landed. And we'll when we release the new next year's family handbook, we will do that. We will revisit this.
Yeah, and customarily with the school performance committee, the family handbook is one of the things that gets shared in August, or has, at least it was in past years when I was chairing that committee. And so and the employee handbook as well. Those are in the drive, in our drive, in our board drive. So you can look at the ones that are there. And then, you know, as I say, normally those get updated in August, and you can look at those again if you're interested. All right, very good. Thank you. Okay, so now with that, I believe that I'm going to adjourn the meeting. So before I do that, and Christina, thank you for giving me the language so we can do this legally. But before I do that, I just want to ask, is there anything else that anybody has as part of this meeting? Because then I think we actually are going to say goodbye to our school staff. That's normally what we do, unless they want to hang on and participate, because, you know, I know that they're eager for another evening meeting. Anything from anybody? So Manya, how's this going to work? Are you going to give me control of the meeting, and you'll stop the live feed after I adjourn? Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And Aaron,
Yes,
Will
Tracy.
and Stan and the rest of the school staff will drop off. I'll be on.
Wonderful.
Okay. And I'm
Terrific.
just
I wasn't
wrapping
sure.
up a quick emergency call for my daughter.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, I hope
bye.
everything's all right. Yep. So I want to say before I adjourn the meeting, then, since we're going to lose some of our school staff, again, thank you is so inadequate, but my God, thank you for what you have done this year for us and for our students and for all of the teachers, for everyone. And let's hope that next year is a very different year. But your dedication, your energy, your commitment, and just for making it work. Words are so inadequate, but thank you to Manya, to Charlotte, and to Will. So thank you. Okay, I am moving to close the meeting per subsection B1212 of the DC Code 2-575, the Open Meetings Act. And we're closing the meeting for the purposes of training and developing members of a public body and staff. I need a second to that motion.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, and so now we vote. Ryan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Kemba?
Aye.
Pamela?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Roxana?
Yes.
Dan?
Yep.
Kathy?
Aye.
Floyd?
Aye.
Excellent. All right, then this meeting is adjourned, and the next time we meet as a regular board is August 24th. But everybody stay on.